Let's get this straight now.
They control the money, the media, and the minds of the masses.
I never fucked anybody over in my life. Didn't have it coming. Got that?
Send the maniac to catch me.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my word, and I don't break them for no one. You understand?
It's a proven fact that these false documents existed and were being circulated amongst right-wing newspapers in Baghdad and around the world in the immediate aftermath.
But wait! There's more!
Like I said,
I had a direct experience with it.
In the milieu of journalism, or just...
Nope, in my bed at night, and I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed and mauled. Physically mauled.
In a spiritual attack by a demon?
Yeah, by a demon. Or by something unseen that left...
Is that right?
Claw marks on my sides, on my...
So it left physical marks?
Oh, they're still there. Yeah. Year and a half.
He always forgets what he says, and he just seems really confused. But the dude's brain was scrambled by a demon not too long ago, so Tucker's lucky to be alive, and now he's trying to seek justice for all the scrambled brains out there and get some answers.
What is the U.S. government's relationship with these things? And there's evidence that there is a relationship and that it's long-standing. And that raises like a lot of questions about intent. And so like, what is that? You know, and people have been hurt by these things. You know, that's a fact. That's a fact. It's a knowable fact. It's a provable fact. And killed. An object that is by definition supernatural. It's above the laws of nature as we understand them. And that has resulted in the deaths of people. But we don't spend enough time thinking about like what that adds up to. Like not good, actually, not good.
How many people do you think have died from these things?
I don't know, but I mean,
And is it radiation sickness? Is it like what is?
I interviewed someone who was a Stanford medical school professor. His conclusion, as you know, because you've talked to him, is that there's some kind of energy coming off here that scrambles people's brains or kills them. And it's not exactly radiation, at least in his telling to me. So anyway, but the point is, people have died.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it does raise a lot of questions about like what the hell, right?
You know, he's still kind of out of it. He's always forgetting things. Like recently he was questioning if Donald Trump is the Antichrist. And then just a few weeks later during this New York Times interview, he was asked about it and he has no recollection of it.
Because, you know, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in
Correct.
ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is.
He referred to Trump as a demonic force and a destroyer, and he thinks Trump is literally able to cast spells on people. So being able to summon a demon doesn't sound too crazy if you believe all that.
And there is a kind of quality that he has that's spellbinding, and I think it probably literally is a spell. And the effect is to weaken people around him and make them more compliant and more confused. And I've experienced this myself. You spend a day with Trump and sort of like you're in this kind of dreamland. It's like smoking hash or something. It's interesting. Very interesting.
She referred to Trump as a magician of the highest order.
The best thing happened ever to us, that he is the magician of the highest order, that he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order that the human being can find new order. And you know, it's not so stupid thinking about this in that way. It's completely turning things upside down.
2024 election, Tucker did a show on Halloween night with Donald Trump. And that same day, he released the video where he talked about being attacked by a demon. So he spent Halloween night with a demonic force and announced he was attacked by a demon in his sleep. So maybe this was some kind of satanic humiliation ritual. Like, he went on this unhinged rant about how Trump winning the election is going to be like a dad coming home and spanking his daughter. And
That's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
So ruined.
Because in 2021, through the Dominion lawsuit against Fox News, some of your texts went public.
Right.
And I'm just quoting from a couple of them. You know, you said there really isn't an upside to Trump. You said, I hate him passionately. I mean, clearly you had some feelings of reservation about the president.
Without question.
Before this time.
There's no doubt.
So I'm just trying to understand the...
You know, I have a lot of thoughts and theories about things which, you know, may or may not be rooted in reality. So I hesitate even to spring any of my theories on you because, like, they're probably insane. But one thing that has bothered me for many years is the fact that a lot of people in Trump's immediate orbit have been hurt and really hurt, you know, gone to prison, become unemployable, publicly shamed, gotten cancer. And I just am a believer in like big picture assessments of things. And, you know, so you're trying to think like, is Trump good or bad? Like, he's saying things I really agree with, but then people around him are getting hurt. Is the country actually getting better? I don't know. It's hard to know because to some extent you're like, your vision is obscured by the intensity of some of these debates. Mine is easily obscured by that intensity. But did I have reservations about Trump? Of course. And, you know, to some extent, I sublimated them or rationalized them away or focused on areas where I agreed with him. You and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. You know, we'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say.
So they talked a lot about politicians being demonically possessed and working with the devil.
And what, can you just restate what the qualities are that you see in people that are compatible with demons? Just like to remember to avoid these things. What are they?
Well, it's basically people that, and this is actually some of the secondary signs of possession. It's people who have a tendency towards mendacity, you know, lying all the time, duplicitous. I've made this comment even publicly about certain politicians. You know, you can tell that these people are in cahoots with the devil because of the fact that every single thing they do maximizes damage within their capacity to do so. You know, you get around yeah, you do. You get around people that are like that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I know them.
Even though they might have a veneer of respectability, they're in a position of authority and they kind of conduct themselves a certain way. Everything they do. I first noticed
they
this.
don't show any, like a normal, I lie, I have lied, I hate lying, but I have done it. But when I do it, or I think most people when they lie, you know, you kind of twitch a little bit. You don't want to lie.
Yeah.
It's the people who register no concern at all about
That's
lying.
right. No
that
remorse.
is a sign.
Literally forgot his dad was in the CIA and he can't remember anything he says. Because these clips make Tucker look so confused. He's always lying or he always forgets things.
You're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA, but I'm not being false about it. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn, actually, yeah, you know, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
Hamas is a group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly. Which I don't know if that's true. By the way, it seems more like a political organization.
Raised some eyebrows this week when you said that Hamas is more like a political organization than a terror group. That was on the new episode of your show when you were talking.
I didn't say that.
The future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent, on the basis of thwarted economic opportunity.
You said in our previous interview, the future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent, on the basis of thwarted economic opportunity.
I certainly didn't mean to endorse violence. I can't imagine I would never say that intentionally. I'm amazed that you have a tape of me saying that, and I just want to disavow it.
Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist?
Could this be the Antichrist?
I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because...
So that demon must have really messed him up, and he still hasn't unscrambled his brain yet. Hopefully he's able to get it together one day. And apparently he's now turned into an immortal psychic demon, according to Tucker's former guest, Professor Zhang.
Will Donald Trump ever die? Because I understand, yes, he eats McDonald's every single day. I understand he is fat and old. Will he die? And I fear that he won't die. He's a psychic demon, okay? And you feed a psychic demon through intense emotions. And there's so many intense emotions surrounding Donald Trump. Is he going to die? Because he's not going to go away, okay? As long as he can stay in that office, he's not going to die. And, like, quite honestly, there's no way to get rid of him now.
So just ask RFK Jr. He thinks Big Macs are poison, but Trump forced him to eat one, then bragged about it. So is that some kind of demonic humiliation ritual? Is this how Trump gains power over these people? Like through satanic rituals, demons, spells, and demonic Big Macs? RFK already has brainworms, but I don't know what the hell I'm making this video. But if you want to support my effort...
And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn, actually, yeah, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year. And so when I applied to CIA, and I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA.
He had a bunch of them. He ran the Voice of America for a long time, maybe 5 or 6 years. He was an ambassador in Africa, and then he ran something called the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
I mean, the guy who took out Mossadegh lived on my street. One of the Roosevelt CIA officer. So, I mean, again, I grew up around this stuff, but
that's why it's not happening.
But they seem to be doing so many other things. I mean, I applied to CIA. My dad worked with CIA. I was never against CIA. I thought only like dumb liberals were against CIA, and traitors or whatever. So my views on CIA have evolved based on things that I have seen and personally experienced.
You took a pretty well publicized trip with your father. Was it about 1.5 years ago? How long has it been?
Since we were in Pakistan.
Down to Nicaragua for the summer and work and, get involved in the war, and support the side that we thought was right.
Where you got left behind for a couple days.
Oh, no, that was when I went to Vietnam with John McCain. Yeah, I had a hassle at the airport.
And are you still traveling with your father on trips?
We spent the summer in Nicaragua trying to get a sense of the war there, and all kinds of hilarity ensued. But yourself, my father's a great guy to travel with and very amusing and adventurous person who's up for anything. So I said, let's go to Pakistan. Okay.
And we have the internet to expose the lies. If this isn't 20 years ago when you were on CNN, and we couldn't expose things, we can expose it now, and they still do it.
Well, I guess I would ask myself, I lie. If I'm really cornered or something, I lie. I try never to lie on TV. I just don't, I don't like lying. I certainly do it, out of weakness or whatever.
Saying, which is you cannot mock other people's gods and put yourself in their place, period. That is a deal killer for me. That's worse than the war with Iran, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I ask because, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it. Just to be totally
No, in
clear.
Revelations, obviously,
We're finding that this all goes back to a Hebrew Kabbalism, and everybody is openly practicing this. Demi Moore just had a Kabbalistic wedding. Madonna, Britney, they're all practicing.
I saw Bill Clinton had his little red wristband. Oh, yeah, he's into the Kabbalah, too. Yeah, Newt Gingrich is into the Kabbalah. Yeah, they're all practicing black magic of Kabbalah. Jack Parsons was the guy who invented, he was a brilliant scientist, and the NASA space program recognizes him as one of the greatest rocket scientists ever. He invented the solid fuel for the rocket program. We wouldn't have the space program had it not been for him. He was also a satanic high priest who conducted sexual rituals, and here's a drawing of him with his girlfriend, and they conducted rituals called Babylon working. And they believed that through sexual rituals, this rocket scientist, Jack Parsons out in California, believed that they could have a child who would be the Antichrist. And that would be their honor, they believed, to bring forth into the world the Antichrist as their child. This is the demented way of these men. By the way, he was a big friend of L. Ron Hubbard. They were in the same cult before Scientology.
A very long time. I think Tucker Carlson might be the first guest who ever arrived on the set with a rubber band on his wrist.
Oh, yes. Because it's handy for thwacking your kids when you need to, and fun to play with, and I always wear one.
Do you always wear a rubber band?
Yes, ma'am. I've worn it, every day, almost all my life.
And how did you get started?
My father wore one, and when we were riding in the car when we were little, he had one of those stick shifts on the steering column, and it would always be covered with rubber bands from the Los Angeles Times every morning. And
so as you get dressed in the morning, you slip on your rubber band?
I never take it off.
You never take it off.
Yeah.
How soon do they wear out?
I just replaced this morning at C-SPAN. In fact, I showed up and I was looking at a pile of them on the receptionist's desk, and I took one.
That's the side effect of getting so many newspapers. Next calls for Tucker Carlson.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
It is clear to the whole world what happened, and even American analysts talk about it directly. It's true.
Yes.
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will. I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
It was an act of sabotage, an act of unrivaled vandalism, economically and environmentally.
Then along comes Seymour Hersh, the world's most acclaimed, distinguished living investigative journalist. He produces a detailed claim that the United States executed this explosion with the help of Norway, planned months before the invasion. This is a man who doesn't make claims lightly, a man with contacts.
In addition to the Pulitzer Prize, his work has earned 5 George Polk Awards, the most of any journalist in the award's history. Not many private individuals have been of greater public service to the United States and to the world than Seymour Myron Hersh. He has single-handedly broken more stories of genuine world historical significance than any reporter alive or dead, perhaps.